We welcome you to our fourth installment of our Distinguished Speaker Series. This is the second time we get to see Miss Cierra Thurman, who last time she introduced us to the reasoning behind writing her book. And hopefully some of you have gotten an opportunity to read her book or glean her book. Some of you maybe who have not yet gotten a chance to check it out. Please know that these copies are available for checkout. You can check them out today. Okay, and we will have them in the library. We also have a class set. If you want to convince your teachers that the whole class should read it and get credit, that would be great. We are so pleased to have our own Thunderbird alum, a former student athlete, much like many of you, and someone who learned exactly in this library, much like many of you, to share with us her insights and to facilitate some question and answers regarding her book. So let's give it up for Miss Cierra Thurman.
So how are you all doing today? Good. Y'all had a good day? No? You didn't have a good day? What's going on?
Oh, I don't want to talk about my life like that.
I'm about to talk about my life like that.
Alright. Well, it started off, I got to school late. I got a tardy, and my tardy sent to detention. And then I got enough attentions already. Yeah.
So why were you late to school?
Oh, because I was good.
Because you overslept.
Yeah.
So let's talk about accountability, right? So you had a bad day because you overslept, you got to school late, and everything just kind of down spiral from there. So to prevent that from happening in the future, what can we do?
Wake up earlier.
You could do what? I can't hear your hands over your mouth.
Wake up earlier.
Wake up earlier, okay? Go to bed earlier, get some sleep. Okay, so Ms. Brecky introduced me. I'm Cierra Thurman, or Coach Cierra, for those who don't know me. I'm going to be talking a little bit about this book. It's called My Life, the One He Never Got to Witness. It's the first book I wrote. Maybe on a later date, we could talk about this one. Sometimes the breakup is a blessing. I want to read to you all just a couple little sections. The first section that I think I'm going to read is called Never Get High Off Your Own Supply. Never get high off your own supply. Billy lied so much that it seemed as if he actually started believing the lies coming out of his mouth. My mom called him up so many times that finally one day he confessed to being a drug dealer. When my mother shared the news with her supervisor and best friend Esther, she insisted that my mother end the relationship. Rose, messing around with a hustler is a bad idea. You a good woman. You don't want to get in any trouble. After several warnings from Esther, my mom became almost certain that her boyfriend was hiding even more secrets. She questioned him about other women and asked if he had any children. For a while, he continued on with his dishonesty. But my mom was unwavering, and he finally confessed to having a daughter named Shantae. So, you still involved with your baby mama, she asked? My father assured her, I don't get along with my baby mama, shit. Only time I see her is when I visit my daughter. My father must have seen my mother's insecurities building. She told me that he got down on one knee and proposed right then and there. He insisted that they travel back to Arkansas to get married. That way, all of her family members could witness this special occasion. And he continued on with his smooth techniques once he met my mother's family. Not only was he a good-looking man, but he was also the perfect gentleman, opening doors and kissing hands too. Up to that point, the trip down south was a success. The only thing left to do was walk down the aisle. Too bad my father had to get drunk before he said his I do. And instead of a romantic honeymoon, my dad continued to drink with my Uncle Larry, so my mom basically spent her wedding night alone. My mom had thought he was such a gentleman, but when they got back to Chicago, he revealed his true colors. First, he stopped picking her up from work, even though my mom had bought the car. He was cruising around in her ride. By that time, she was 6 months pregnant with me. And she was so pissed off because she had a brand new car and she was stuck riding a damn bus home. One day, she was surprised to come home to an apartment full of strangers. But she was even more shocked to witness my dad snorting cocaine. He was supposed to be selling the drugs, not using them. He had broken the #1 rule of a drug dealer: never get high off your own supply. My mother went off and my father pushed her into the bedroom where they would finish their argument. When he got tired of explaining himself, he slapped her in the face and shouted, "Stay the fuck in the bedroom." This was the first time my father would hit my mother, but it would not be the last. After each chapter in the book, I put some type of lesson that I learned from that particular time. And for this particular lesson, I wrote, "You don't always get what you want. That doesn't mean you should settle for less than what you deserve. It's never okay for a man to hit a woman, or vice versa. No one deserves to be mistreated, either physically, verbally, or emotionally. Too often we get our gut instinct tells us something, or tells us something about someone, and we try to justify it by not paying attention to it. Learn to trust your instincts and your intuition, because your gut will never steer you wrong." So that's one of the chapters from the book. What do you guys think?
I like that book. I want it.
You said you don't even read books, but it
Like I
sounds
read books.
interesting.
Like I read. The only time I read books is like, you know the what's that author name? He be writing all of the black books with the kids.
I know what you're talking about.
Luther series.
Okay.
So that sounds similar to that. So that's something I read. But other than that, I'm not a fan of reading.
So you're not a big reader. What makes you want to read it? Anybody?
Because
It's relatable.
Because it's real, it's relatable. Okay. I'm gonna give you all one more little section, and then this was gonna be very interactive. We're gonna be getting fully engaged. I'm gonna talk to you all. I'm sharing my life, and I want you all to open up a little bit more. If you all act like y'all scared and y'all want to talk, I got a couple talking points up there, okay? All right, so let's go to Old Country Bama. Old Country Bama. My earliest memory as a child was attending my father's funeral. Everyone was dressed in all black, and my mom cried a lot, but at the time, I didn't understand why. My mother's side of the family traveled from Arkansas to pay their final respects and comfort my grieving mother. The repast was held at Grandma Mary's home on 82nd and Everhart. The apartment was crowded with people mourning my dad's death. Overwhelming aromas filled the air of the different foods brought in. Grandma Naomi tried to convince my mom to move back down south. "Baby girl, this ain't no place to raise them children. You all back in lonesome in this big old city. Come home with your folks." Despite her situation, my mother did not want to move back home. She had outgrown the country life. "Mom, I'm okay." My grandmother left the conversation alone for the moment, but was determined to get her youngest daughter back to Arkansas. Later that day, both my grandmothers got into a heated argument. Grandma Naomi accused Grandma Mary of stealing from my mother. "I saw you, Mary. You was stealing from my baby girl. You took some money out of them envelopes people been leaving her." Mary quickly shouted back, "Look here, you old country Bama. I don't have any reason to steal anything." Grandma Naomi screamed, "I saw you. You ain't nothing but a low-down dirty thief. Come on, baby girl, we out of here." And just like that, my family members quickly assembled and we left Grandma Mary's home. My Grandma Naomi had seen enough. "Robin, you coming home with me. You don't belong here and you need help with those kids." My mother pleaded and pleaded with my grandma, trying to convince her that our family of three would be okay. Her last words to my grandma were, "Mom, God knows how much we can bear." My grandmother was a God-fearing woman and had raised her kids in the church. So with that, she was confident that her daughter could make it. My mama wasn't alone after all, because she had God by her side. The next day, my maternal family left and went back to Arkansas, and we moved in with Grandma Mary. The lesson that I have from that is, no matter what trials and tribulations you face in life, remember you can always go home. Home is a safe and secure place where you will have the support and comfort of your family. Recognize the blessings that this is, and don't let pride or shame keep you from taking refuge with your loved ones. Okay, so I'm not gonna read out the whole book, just a couple little sections. Raise your hand if you had the opportunity to read the book. Okay, so tell me what you thought. You have any takeaways or anything that kind of like stuck out to you?
I thought it was good, but it was funny, and it was like a lot of stuff that I could relate in there. And it was so real, like you told how you feel and like the real things that you had to go through and stuff like that.
So you could relate to it, you thought it was
Yeah,
real?
and I took like the little quotes we made at the end, like I just took some of them as advice and stuff.
Oh, good, good. You took some of the quotes as advice.
And I read some of the chapters twice.
Okay, some of them you read twice. Okay. What about you in the back? Des, what about you?
I think it was a good book, and like it's like related to it's like related to like problems that people go through now and stuff like that. And I feel like you wasn't telling nothing wrong. Like no, you weren't sugarcoating nothing in there.
Okay. Anybody else?
Can we say that after TV?
Yes, Ms. Berkey.
I felt like every single teacher, I feel like every single teacher in our school should read it. Because for me, I felt like it was an honesty, it's a growing up story. It's a woman's growing up story. And you know, you and I talked, I get very emotional about it. Something, and what I found for my own self, I mean, I'm a much older woman than everybody else here, but I struggled between my teacher self and my mother self. You know, so I really empathize with your mom's situation, and I think it's really hard for parents who have to let people they don't trust in the sphere of their children. Because we've had family members in our family that I don't ever want near my children. I don't want you to talk to my child, I don't want you to influence my child. And so finding places that you share where you're vulnerable broke my heart as a mom and broke my heart as a teacher, because I want for our students to feel like they can trust people, and it makes me better understand why some of our students never want to trust, they have a hard time trusting, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you all ever feel like maybe you're having a rough day at school, but it has nothing to do with school or your teachers, but it may be something that you're experiencing at home in your home life, and it kind of just like boil over into school? Anybody want to talk about some of that stuff? Not really? Don't feel comfortable? And that's, yes.
I get into a lot. Like, we the same people, but we don't, like, you don't know that. I know that, but she don't know that. When I come to school, like, it's just like a relief to be out the house with her. So
And do you think,
I don't bring it into it.
why do you think you and your mom are getting into it? Is it because sometimes you ain't trying to hear what she's saying? Do you think she's giving you advice and you kind of want to figure it out on your own? What is it necessarily?
Because she like, okay, basically she tries to bully, like, not bully, like my mom not a bad person at all, but you know how you know how moms are, like, they'll just pick on you for anything, like.
Give me an example.
Okay, so for example, so I go downstairs and my room light will be on, and she'll be like, so she'll walk past them and everything. I'm all the way downstairs. Taylor, come turn the light off. Vice versa, if she leave her room light off and I'll be like, Mom, you left your room light off. We'll go turn it off then. And I'm like, okay, if that was me, you would make me come all the way from the basement, all the way up to my room just to turn the light off. Like, that's just petty. Like, why can't you just, you know, be a team member and turn off the light?
That's a valid point. I'm playing devil's advocate. Is it possible that your mom wants you to cut the light off because she's the one paying the light bill?
No, she just, I'm pretty sure she don't care about the light being on.
I'm sure she does care. As a parent, we got any parents in the room? Any parents want to speak to that?
I'm not a parent, but
Let's listen to some of the
I'm not a parent, but the issue that I found with your narrative is you think you guys are equals, and y'all not. Like you haven't paid the dues she's paid.
Exactly.
So like you gotta pick and choose your battles. Is this really something to be upset about? And also she might be trying to instill in you the value of this electricity, because one day when you get your apartment, you have, I'll say this, I remember being your age and this not being a big deal, and then I got my first apartment, and everybody who came by, I'm like, you gonna leave the bathroom light on? Did you just come out the bathroom, turn the light off? You just gonna leave my refrigerator door open? Because you start to...
I'm saying like, okay, as my mother, like, you could just turn the light. It don't take 2 seconds. Just as she tell me, if you see something on the ground, Jayla, it don't take but 2 seconds to pick it up. Well, it don't take but 1 second to flip the light switch up.
So again, I think the issue is that you think you all are equal, and you're not equal. That's your parent. So a lot of times, your parent may tell you something, you're like, oh, that's just my mama talking. But you don't have to repeat the same mistakes. A lot of times they're trying to prevent you from going down the same roads they went down. You don't have to repeat every single mistake. Just listen to your parents. Oftentimes they give you some good advice. And trust me, when you get your own place, apartment, house, whatever it may be, you're going to want them lights cut off because you are the one paying the bill. Anybody else? What about some of these topics up here? Is anything jumping out to you? Anything you all want to discuss? Anything resonating with you? What is it? What is it? What is it? What is it? What's jumping out at you? I'm talking to you. What's jumping out at you? The basketball part? I did have a scholarship, so I actually played. I started as a freshman here. I played varsity all 4 years, and then I got a scholarship to play in college. I was actually going to play overseas, but then I sustained my second knee injury, and then it was over with after that. Wasn't no more playing basketball. Anything else? Anything that's jumping out at you?
There's a lot, to be honest. Right.
Okay, well, pick some.
You got family, therapy, sex, basketball.
Okay, so which one? Just give me one.
I don't know. I said basketball.
We just talked about basketball.
Alright, therapy.
Therapy. Have anybody ever went to therapy before?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we
Have anybody ever heard therapy is for crazy people? Have anybody heard that? Okay, so I'm gonna tell you all that is not true. That's a myth. Therapy is not for crazy people. It's okay to go to a professional and talk with them about some things that you're personally experiencing inside, things that's going on in your head, things that you're having trouble with in your heart. I went to therapy. I was engaged once upon a time, and my fiance was abusive, and he wasn't faithful. There was infidelity in the relationship. And 6 months before we were supposed to walk down the aisle and say I do, I called the wedding go. And my therapist was actually supposed to be our marriage counselor. So the first day I showed up, and the counselor said, "Oh, Miss Thurman, we missing somebody, aren't we?" "Nope, doc, it's just me." So I sat there in his chair, and I was ready to just go in. I wanted to tell him how much he got cheated on me, everything he was doing. I just wanted to be like a male bashing session. Have y'all ever had that type of moment? You just wanted to blame everybody else?
Yeah, all the time.
You know what the therapist told me? He's not here to defend himself. We're not going to talk about him. Let's talk about you and your accountability and the part you played. And why did you put up with it for so long? Why did you accept it for so long? I had never looked at it like that before. I kept looking at myself, oh, I'm this victim. You don't have to play that victim role. You don't have to take on that title. Why did I deal with it for so long? Because I had low self-esteem. My self-worth, I didn't know how much I was worthy of. So I don't personally know your situation, and if you all or anyone here that I'm speaking with is dealing with something like that, whether abusive relationship, whether it's emotional or even physical, that's not a situation you should be in. They don't respect themselves, and they surely don't respect you. But trust and believe that you're worth more. So that's something you need to walk away from. That's something you need to talk to a trusting adult or someone about so you can get out and exit that toxic relationship. So that's my time with therapy. Anything else? Anything that's jumping out at you? What you about to say, Charmaine?
Okay.
What is it, Charmaine? You want your sister to say it?
I was gonna say, insecurities.
Insecurities?
Yeah.
You have a time when you felt insecure?
Yeah.
I think we all do. And that's okay. I'm going to share, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to share insecurity, and you all going to share insecurity. Okay?
Okay,
So it's all right. We're just going to be open. This is a safe space, right? Okay, so growing up, I was always summoned to the shortest, the tallest line. I was always at the end of the line. Anybody have the shortest, the tallest line when you was in school? Yes. Okay. So I was the tallest person in all of my classes. I literally been this height since I was a shorty. So in like second grade, I think I was 5'11" in my socks. Okay? I was always at the end of the line. So of course, when it came to like dating and having little boyfriends, I was always taller than the boys. So I hated being tall. I didn't like to wear heels because I was taller than everybody. So it took me to grow into that and appreciate that. So that was one of my insecurities. Now y'all turn. You gotta share one. Insecurity.
To be honest, my weight.
Your weight? Okay.
Like,
We're not, this is a safe space. We're not laughing at anyone's insecurities.
like for real though, like I've always struggled with like gaining weight. Like, I used to be smaller than this at one point, but like I've always tried to like have like weight goals or anything like 130. That's my weight goal. But like it was a time like I was also gaining weight, like I was happy and stuff like that. But like I want to say last year, like everything just changed. Like basketball, all that, and it just made me lose more weight. Like I couldn't do nothing about it. But like I'm starting to like really love myself more. Cause I mean like I get a lot of, I wish I had your body, like all that, like you're amazing, you look good. But I mean.
So how are you dealing with it now? I still have weight insecurities. I'm still a work in progress. When you have insecurities, it's not something that's just going to be solved overnight. It's just something that you're working on, that you're working at. So how are you dealing with it now?
I mean, I'm just chilling. To be honest, like I mean.
You think you got better at it?
Yeah.
You're more confident with it? Okay. Actually have to get ready to wrap this session. I wish we had more time.
We got to.
No. I appreciate you all for coming out.